The internet is full of Photoshop fails, whether it's posts from your favorite celebrity or Wish.com being the Wish.com version of Wish.com. But with Photoshop's new Generative Fill tool, there's really no excuse for these no-go photos. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use the Generative Fill tool to correct some of the internet's biggest Photoshop fails. This is a tool that anyone can use, from professional retouchers to people using Photoshop for the first time. And to prove it, I'll only be using beginner tools and techniques to fix these images to show you just how simple it is. Our first Photoshop fail comes from the one and only Kendall Jenner. If the lack of a shadow didn't give her away for not actually holding a sign, her lack of hands would. Let's first select the sign and use the Generative Fill tool to create hands to hold it. The Generative Fill tool will always give you 3 options, so you can either pick the one that works best or roll the dice again for new options by clicking Generate again. Sometimes the tool has unexpected effects, like here it erased the bottom word from the sign, but it's just a simple matter of erasing part of the generation to reveal the original layer from underneath. Let's first select her hands and isolate them to a new layer. Then using basic beginner tools, you can quickly manually create a shadow for the sign, and there you go.
Hooray!
You're welcome, Kendall. Our next fail comes from a valiant attempt at flexing the PJ. Or valiant might not be the best word for this situation. Let's use the Generative Fill tool to completely remove the girl from the image and recreate the background behind her. This kind of thing used to be the nightmare of retouchers everywhere. But now with the Generative Fill tool, it's just as simple as a touch of a button. Once she's gone, we can grab the photo of her from the other incredible edit and isolate the subject to move her over to our new background. Then with a few beginner techniques, you can add small shadows underneath her feet to make it a bit more realistic, and then voila!
Hooray!
Bon voyage! In this next Photoshop fail, it looks like someone used a clone stamp tool to salvage the one remaining patch of leaves on this tree. If only the poor soul who created this cursed image would have had access to the Generative Fill tool. All they'd have to do was tell it to turn the tree into a tree, and it would be sprouting new leaves in no time, no cloning required. And while we're here, let's do them a favor and take a stab at that second tree, just because we can. You can smell the photosynthesis from here. And finally, arguably our biggest fail. I can totally see where this Photoshopper was going with this picture if I squint really hard and forget what both pools and trampolines look like. This picture's got all sorts of things working against it, but it's nothing that a little Generative Fill can't handle. Now that we've removed the first problem, let's clean up our canvas a little bit. The Generative Fill tool can automatically extend your canvas by creating new visuals beyond its edge. What a time to be alive. Now let's drain this pool. And our final step for our newly renovated trampoline is to put a little spring in its step. Generating people from scratch can get a little dicey with the Generative Fill tool, but sometimes you get lucky and the resulting image doesn't look like your sleep paralysis demon. Especially for low-res images like this jumping jack will do the trick just fine.
Hooray!
Thanks for coming with me on this adventure of using the Generative Fill tool to clean up the world one crime against humanity at a time. Make sure to subscribe and let me know which tool you'd like to see next. Goodbye!